And welcome back, everybody, to the Split 1 relegation. One series down, one team already qualified. Fury 1, Outcast drops down to the loser bracket. Fury 1, obviously, in Pro League. Now, it's time to get another team into Pro League, another qualification match. And this one is going to be F&I playing against Team Queso. I'm Taylor Reflections. I'm joined by Toby Campbell. It's going to be a great series. And there is, I wouldn't say drama, like I'm hyping it up way too much, all right? But there is going to be some rivalry here because Chavii, who was once on F&I, is now on Team Queso. Gnash now playing on Fire and Ice. You got two rosters that had a standout event during obviously the fall major. They made some waves. They're looking to make some waves tonight.
Yeah, that they are, and this is a really interesting matchup as well because Team Queso were kind of just performing really well actually in the major. Meanwhile, Fire and Ice were doing some unspeakable things to a lot of teams, right? Getting to all these map 5s, but then just falling short last moment. Of course, Chavii was a really big narrative for Fire and Ice overall. That star player you always hyped up. And he did really well in the major as well. But no, instead of sticking with that Fire and Ice roster, he's now gone to Team Queso, of course. Which makes the dynamic between these two teams even more fiery. And of course, to wrap it all up, whoever wins this gets into Pro League.
That's right.
Team Queso want to get back in, don't they? And Fire and Ice as well feel as though perhaps they can do a lot better than they did in the past split.
Well, let's find out. Let's talk about Fire and Ice. We mentioned Chavii no longer on this roster. I thought he was going to be the new Dyslexic, but I was kind of let down, I can't lie. But still, though, there's time for him to mature, and I think on that other roster he can. But for this roster, F&I, Rapidz, Toxiq, Solar, they are your tried and true staples when it comes to the F&I roster you saw competing during Split 1. But now Gnash is joined into the mix, and Gnash is a talented player, guys. So I'm going to deem this this matchup Gnash versus Chavii. Because, hey, you got the new guns on both rosters. But Gnash is a great player. Solar, good in his own rights. Toxiq, fantastic. Rapidz, a guy that definitely matured throughout Pro League, definitely matured during the fall major. He was a guy that was constantly taking the back seat, right? Taking the back seat when it came down to his 1v spots. But he definitely started to take more of the hero role, started to be more assertive and dominant in his 1v spots. I like that from him, and therefore he became a much better player. So Rapidz, Toxiq, Solar, Gnash on Fire and Ice. They are a talented roster. They're a strong roster, and they are looking, like you said, Toby, to be back into Pro League. But let's break down Team Queso, Toby, a team that made big waves when it came down to the fall major.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it earlier. The core three, right? Cristalize and Sleeafer, they were doing so well in the major, actually, right? And a lot of, I want to say a lot of fans who returned to see the major actually were surprised Team Queso weren't in the Pro League before because they were performing that well, right? Their experience was showing. Sleeafer, of course, Cristalize, two Latin American players who've been amazing in the past, even as far back as Gears 4. And now with this pickup of Chavii, they're dangerous for me, Taylor. They really are. I think that perhaps arguably a little bit of an improvement, actually. Now you can see the challenger result was first place. No shock there, right? Just given how strong this team actually is. And it kind of makes the balance between these two teams kind of questionable. Like, who really has the leg up here? We're not too sure. It really does come down to who performs in the day, in particular with regards to Cristalize and Sleeafer, given how amazing they have been as far back, as I mentioned, as Gears 4.
And I want to give some respect, though, to that Team Queso roster, specifically the one that played during the fall major. Exclusive, obviously retiring. It was a pleasure to cast over you, brother. It really was. Loved watching you compete. Maybe get a chance to watch you in the future. I don't know. But, hey, as far as your retirement goes, I do wish you the best in whatever endeavors that you do push forward in the future, man. But you're a great guy and was a great competitor, right? We're definitely losing a legend there. But for Chavii, he's got some big shoes to fill. My big thing, though, from him is for Fire and Ice, they were always a roster that needed maturity to kind of, guide them, especially in high-pressure moments. That's why I always thought they couldn't close out series. They needed a level head to be able to calm them down and guide them. I do believe Chavii is now going to have that, especially with Sleeafer and co. on that Team Queso roster. I do think this is the roster to elevate Chavii and make him that player that he was always designed to be. So that's why I'm excited for Team Queso playing today. Let's take a look at the maps, though, and see which ones we're going to be rolling with here. Starting off on Regency Control, that's where Team Queso said this is the map we're going to be starting off with, which, hey, fair enough. They like that map, and I do believe it's going to benefit their team orientation, and it's also going to be better than that of F&I, where F&I, they do get a map that they were great on, one of the scariest teams on whenever it came to execution, and that's Checkout. Now they're going to have Gnash. I expect F&I to be just as good as they were before on Checkout execution. I can see this easily going 1-1 heading into TG.
I am so with you on that, Taylor. Very, very happy, actually. Both teams get two extremely strong maps for their respective sides. TG Escalation can be very interesting. I really don't know who to go with on that one. It's almost like a toss-up. And the rest of the maps, I'm surprised, actually, we don't see Tomb. I really wanted to see Fire and Ice again fight it out on Tomb. Of course, they had a really good matchup against the United, only losing in the last round to them during the Major. They had the pleasure of casting over. And yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't try to perhaps get that one through. Not sure, of course, how the bans went, but that would have been really good to see. Of course, Ephyra execution last map for Team Queso, going with that pick. That could be an interesting tiebreaker if we need it. This is, of course, a matchup that is kind of level between the two teams, I want to say, right? You could go either way. I think there could be an argument to be had for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually do see that one. It could be a very interesting map, number 5.
It could be. Ephyra is a map that Fire and Ice has traditionally struggled on, but that was against pro caliber teams. Curious how they will play against Team Queso. I got a lot more to say on that. But before we do, let's talk about the team that we think is going to win. Right now, we're not batting 1,000, all right? We're batting for 0, where we have struck out, all right, in the first series, where Chat, they do lead the way. They backed up Fury 1, and they were correct. So this time, Toby, I hope we're going to be right. But either way, it's going to be a great series nonetheless. Going into this, it was tough. I think this one would be more evenly based than I thought, even more so than the first series was going to be between Outcast and Fury 1. This is a 50-50 and a toss-up to me, quite honestly, and it really comes down to how well Gnash is going to be playing on his new roster and how well, obviously, Chavii is going to be playing on his new roster. But Team Queso impressed me in the Major. That series against Pittsburgh Knights was incredible and one of the few teams to beat them. Granted, with exclusive, yes, but I do believe that momentum is going to carry forward here during the relegation tournament. So I'm going with Team Queso. I think they're the better team. Toby, who are you going for?
A very fair pick. I think for me, I have to go with Fire and Ice, and it's simply because they had so many good maps during the Major. They were so impressive, Taylor. I really enjoyed casting over them. I thought Chavii was excellent. Yes, they no longer have Chavii, but I'm trusting in your judgment of Gnash in particular as well. I'm sure he can really turn up as well and help out this Fire and Ice roster. And for me, it's just that mental block, right? That's what we were using to describe their performances, Fire and Ice. They have the skill, they have the teamwork, they can get over that mental block. They have so much potential, and that's why I'm picking them.
All right, fair enough. We're split, it seems, Toby. That's okay. Hey, F&I is a fantastic team just as much as Team Queso. Like I said, I think this is a 50-50. Chat, who are you going to be going for? F&I, you go on Team Queso. Both are fair picks, but you got to pick one, and one of us are going to be standing alone, and I think we'll be fine with that. So Team Queso is the favorite, Toby. You're by yourself with Fire and Ice, but hey, believe in your boys and believe in Gnash, because, again, he's going to be the X factor, whether or not F&I is going to be successful.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And it's an interesting one for sure as well. Of course, casters haven't been so accurate so far, the prediction. So at least one of us can be right this time, eh? And one of us is with Twitch chat as well. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the voting was super close in Twitch. I can't see it at the moment. But honestly, either team, you can't really criticize prediction-wise on either side. There's arguments to be had on either one. It is a lot more difficult to predict than the first series, but the first series went the way it did, of course, with Outcast not performing as perhaps anticipated. This one is up in the air, I think, for the most part, really, when you come down to it. It really does come down to who performs on the day. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's just so true.
It is.
This matchup in particular.
It definitely is. Again, very, very evenly based teams. We've seen them compete during the fall major. Well, we didn't see them, but at least we saw the results of it. Obviously, F&I getting that victory, and that was the only win Fire and Ice was successful in getting, actually, in their entire split one, and it was against a team that, to no disrespect, Team Queso wasn't even a Pro League team at that time. So F&I did not beat a Pro League team really in their entire performance during split one, which is quite telling, where Team Queso was able to beat a Pro League team of Pittsburgh Knights. But again, a team that got 8th place in Pro League and then magically got 2nd place during the fall major. So Toby, just echoed a sentiment. Yeah, it really is any given day. Who truly is going to win? Who wants to win? Gears is quite honestly different. It's unlike any other esport, in my opinion, man, because you just never know who's going to win, despite a team being an underdog. It truly doesn't matter because they can win regardless. So for Team Queso, though, again, for Chavii, very excited to watch them compete. I do think he's going to be elevated because of the veteranship that they do have on Team Queso, the experience that a lot of these guys can bring. Because Fire and Ice was a young roster. They're still a young roster. They're an incredibly talented, mechanically talented team. But again, they've always lacked strategy. They've kind of always lacked that ability to remain composed in high pressure situations. Hence why they never got a win in Pro League despite them being close. So I expect Chavii to play even better today on Team Queso now that he has guidance. And I think this could be his big break, but Fire and Ice, they're not going to go down without a fight, without question. This map, though, I do benefit Team Queso, but if they lose this, I could see them go down 2-0 in the series very quickly.
Absolutely so. I'm so with you on that for sure. And to actually go into the prediction in particular, 83% in favor of Team Queso in the Twitch chat, so it was not close at all. Team Queso, the strong favorites for the fans in the stream right now. So hey, they start off strong as well on this hill clearly, and they also get control of the M-bar. What a great start this is for Team Queso.
Great start indeed. They got the first points. They've got the M-bar. Now the next job is going to be getting spawn control for the next hill. Great shot, though, from Chavii. Open it up wide with the M-bar, getting a kill. He has died once, but he's got 3 kills to his name. Big shots, though, onto Rapidz. Rapidz holding his ground and get a player that got better and better throughout Pro League. I've become quite fond of him, despite his stats looking lackluster. You got to understand Rapid's position and kind of the role he plays for his roster. He's not going to be that star-studded player getting the most kills, getting the most damage done, but he definitely provides a positive thing for his roster, a positive role for his roster in the role that he plays. And look at that, F&I wiping Team Queso off the map. They still have spawn control, and Chavii is last alive, forced to retreat to the next hill.
Yeah, good job, Chavii. Honestly, getting away. He's so far. Oh, actually, no, Gnash is closer than I thought, but revives will come through, and Fire and Ice. Yeah, they are very quick on the heels of Team Queso onto this next hill. They're going to be relatively set up. The hill hasn't popped just yet, but here come the players of Team Queso straight through the middle. Chavii will find Gnash. Rapidz just to the side. Chavii still looking for it. And of course, he will fall. The damage is too much. Fire and Ice have the short spawn just behind, and they will have the numbers as a result. Question is, can they use that to retake the hill?
We find out they need to. They've got spawn control, as you said. That's a huge benefit, but we did see Outcast, right, having spawn control, but not able to break through the defensive setup and the slaying power of Fury 1 once they were established inside the hill. Could be the same thing here for Team Queso. They're holding their ground, and they do so in scintillating fashion. Still that one from Colin. Shout out to you, baby. 66-19, Team Queso leading the way. Let's look at the stats for our boys over here. So Gnash 2 and 4, or should be, yeah, 2 and 4. And then where's Chavii? Big Chavii, 6 kills, 2 assists. Damage done across the board, though, relatively even, still early. But even as early as it is, Team Queso getting a scary lead.
Yeah, absolutely so. Huge lead. It's starting to come into now, because I doubt Fire and Ice will be able to get anywhere near this current hill. They'll have to start focusing on the new hill. Here comes Gnash trying to find that kill. Solo, excellent M-bar shot, and he will clean up, or rather Toxiq will clean up problems in the middle. So important now as they rotate ready for the next hill. Start to gain control, ready of that short spawn for the next one. They still have M-bar to use as well. Solar still got some shots left remaining. And the question for me, of course, Taylor, is whether Chavii actually performs a lot better on Team Queso today,
yep.
Right? Instantly, right? It's not just about the long term, but instantly whether that mental block has kind of been removed for him and whether he performs well against his old team.
Well, Chavii had many standout moments during the fall major. You know, don't forget, like, he was absolutely slaying out. In his slaying power and his mechanical prowess is something I never doubted. Again, it came down to did he have proper guidance? You know, let's not forget, Chavii is a very young player, you know, kind of like Dyslexic was whenever, you know, he first started competing in Pro League. Maybe even going back to Krabby's, like, Chavii needs guidance. As mechanically sound as you can be, there's a big separate. Good job from Solar, by the way, taking down Cristalize and Chavii, you know, back in pretty quick fashion. But regardless, though, Chavii needed guidance. You know, young players, as mechanically sound as they might be, if they're not being guided on the battlefield properly, they make silly mistakes. They throw their lives away, or maybe they don't make the proper push to benefits and capitalize with their teammates. So, you know, that's why, again, I think this is going to be a great roster for him. I'm hyping him up a lot, but hey, Fire and Ice can absolutely still win this, but that was a big win from Team Queso. They get the hill with 33 seconds remaining. Fire and Ice has to seriously think, do they want to attempt to challenge this hill one more time or focus on next?
Yeah, I do like this actually from Problems. Number 5 on the mini map, he is flying across, or number 7, excuse me, flying across over towards the top end of the map. Fantastic stuff. Actually, no. Actually, the wrong player I'm looking at completely. Chavii was the one to fly over towards the Ember completely. Team Queso will rotate ready for the next hill. They've already gained control of that top side of the map. Chavii set up on the side. Not sure if F&I are completely aware of how many Team Queso players are actually here. Very close. Rapidz has got a 1v1 against Chavii. There we go. Makes it 2v1 very quickly indeed. Team Queso positioning now relatively quickly for this next hill.
116 to 54. Toxiq taking down Province. It's going to give him an off angle here to benefit and kind of complement Gnash, who's going to be on the opposite end. Meanwhile, you got Solar and Rapidz, who is going to be attacking through mid. Interesting play from Team Queso to push Gnash like they did to get him out of the way, giving him a ton of respect. Now they've got to double back into Lancer Fire. In a way, I think that was a bit of a misplay. They should have not left the hill. Yes, Gnash was there. You were going to get pincered, but after all, Fire and Ice, they were the ones who had to get in the hill. They were the ones who had to go for the break. Team Queso essentially gave them free real estate on the Statue Hill, which, to Team Queso's credit, it seems as if they take it back over with ease. But against a team like KCP, against a team like Noble, giving up that much real estate to those kind of caliber teams inside that hill could have been devastating. Because then, once you give it up, you got to go for the re-break. That was a misplay, but even so, Team Queso was able to outmuscle Fire and Ice to retake the hill once again.
Ember not going to come to great use for Cristalize, immediately getting the shotgun out. It's a 3v3 shotgun around the altar. Chavii making the difference, though, getting the double, looking for the triple. Toxiq will fall. Chavii will find the third kill in the end. Well, wow, excellent stuff from Team Queso. So far for me, the storyline for Regency has just been Team Queso's shotgun capability as a team. Every time that a huge amount of numbers from either team clash, Team Queso just walks through them, it seems like. Fire and Ice really haven't gotten going yet, just yet, Taylor. And so as a result, I really want to see them kind of pull that together a little bit. Team Queso are kind of running away from it a little bit with this a little bit because of that. Let's see if this setup now, as they actually have a good setup now. They've used a shot grenade. Yes, it might not be necessary, but they do have the setup nonetheless. And they're going to try and get the short ball. Not able to do that. Let's see if they can hold.
Yeah, I need Fire and Ice to definitely make a statement, close this gap, close this deficit, and come back. This would be a pretty telling map, in my opinion, with the way that it's kind of played out. Team Queso, as you said, Toby, has been outslaying Fire and Ice. And the thing about F&I is one of the things that's always benefited them is their mechanical prowess, their ability to outslay teams. You take that away from Fire and Ice, what else do they really have? Because, again, they're not the most strategic team out there. So Fire and Ice, they need to start slaying out. And to their credit, they're doing so. They have garnered quite a few points. And if they can just get the last remaining 40 or so, 30 or so points here, they'll be within striking distance of coming back and taking a lead for the first time in map number 1 against Team Queso. But TQ is going to take one more final stab at it. Chavii with 15 kills to his name, absolutely popping off and complementing this roster quite well. He ends up falling, Gnash staying inside the hill, and it will be Fire and Ice who closes the deficit quite well and starts to come back. Good for them. They needed this.
Yeah, they did. And they do need the rotation for the next hill, and it looks like they're just about... No, it's a little bit too slow for them, actually. Team Queso are here. They have got the window control. They can go right at the back of the spawn if needs be, just to stay alive and wait for everyone to group up. But right now, smokes are there. They're just going to Lancer through and try and spot out as many players as they can. Wait for F&I players to be positioned, ready to make the play to get this hill. But right now it is going to be a standoff between both teams. No power weapons in anyone's name. Question is, how are F&I going to engage? Are they going to go straight to the left on left-hand disadvantage? It looks like they're trying it, but Team Queso's lance is a little bit too strong for them there. Cristalize trapped on the corner. That's the opportunity for F&I to go straight in. Solo with the back A. Lovely job. Sleeafer, though, clutching up. Getting 2 kills now. Big 1v between him and Gnash. Huge. As Chavii comes to his rescue. Very well played from Team Queso. Big team fight that was.
Yeah, well done from Sleeafer. That play really did make this hill totally in control, or put Team Queso in total control. Fire and Ice, they definitely have an attempt and definitely have an opportunity to retake the hill to their favor. They're not going to feel as comfortable as they were, especially having that spawn control before, but either way, big kills coming out from Chavii, taking out Toxiq, taking down Gnash, and also getting Rapidz. Another 3-piece going to the way of Chavii. We're still early in this map, and that's going to be a 4th, as Chavii will have 21 kills to his name, and he's not done yet.
He is really picking up steam, isn't he? Is Chavii. 3 kills for him. Make that a 4th. Looking for the 5th. The Ember still on the floor as well, I believe. That could go to any of these players. Chavii still getting up close and personal. It's questionable, right, Taylor, that you get into Gib range when you're in a 2v1, but hey, I'll give it to him because he is clearly on fire, right? He's feeling it this early on. And they've got such a huge score lead now, Team Queso. As you check back into top left, after that huge hill victory, arguably after a great defense off Sleeafer, they get a load of points as a result. And here they are rotating early for the next hill, trying to win the Garden Hill as they did in the first instance.
And this time around, Fire and Ice does have spawn control once again. Team Queso kind of faltered in that regard. They were forced, especially off of P2, at the first rotation, they were forced to kind of, get inside there and try and hold it down despite F and I having spawn control. This time around, Team Queso is going to prioritize spawn control a little bit more. I like that, but they ran into a bit of a problem, and that was Toxiq. Good movement from him, taking down 2 inside the hill. N-bar in hand. Good shot! But can he get the finish? Yes, he can. That's 3. He's going for a team ace, but he'll fall a bit short as Sleeafer will finally put his run to an end and force out Rapidz as he gets flanked. And Sleeafer, man, kind of the Grim Reaper at times. And in moments where you think Fire and Ice is finally getting an edge, finally starting to overcome diversity, right? You run into Sleeafer and then you run into problems. And, man, that's just a deadly duo. Team Queso, 260 to 124. They're cruising to a victory.
Yeah, that they are at the moment. That was really nice actually from Toxiq earlier on, but you're right, Sleeafer holding true in the end. Big score lead. Here comes the next fight for F&I. They're funneling themselves to a really difficult choke point right now. They're trying to force their way through, but not much damage on the side. They do get the down, they do get the kill. Solar trading out. No, Cristalize with a double and a big 1v1, but Gnash will find it in the end. The rotation has already begun. Look at that, 3 players for TQ already flying over to the next hill up top, and they've got the Ember under the control too.
Problem since one flying doesn't connect, but at least discombobulating F&I at most. But now problems in Cristalize last alive as F&I continues to push him, continues to try to go for the break, and that break will come through. They will get it, and Fire and Ice will keep the score line at least alive and a little bit more manageable, 131 to 272, if you can call that manageable. Still Sleeafer and Chavii looking to break through, and Gnash will end up falling. Toxiq now in a tough little spot, forcing to retreat it back up in the meantime. It looks like Team Queso is actually going to be going for a bit of a pincer here. Hey, Team Queso could still win it off this hill.
Oh my good, what have we just seen? 3 kills from Rapidz and a 4th on Toxiq. Okay, that'll clean up most of the players of TQ and they'll give them some breathing room. 1 player left, and that is Chavii. Should be a simple kill, no deaths. I'd be screaming, but right now Chavii is getting down. Somehow Chavii's still alive. The short spawn has saved him. Surprising that Fire and Ice couldn't find that all-important kill in the end there after the nade from Rapidz. I'd be scrambling after that kill if at all possible, but no. Here we go. They're still at it. Chavii, great shot over the top onto Gnash. They're working very well together, a Team Queso, and they're on the verge of winning this map.
Going for a 30 bomb. Chavii is going for a 30 bomb, and he's hungry for it. He knows his teammates, they've got the hill secure, so Chavii says, hey, let me work some magic up front as Fire and Ice. They're not even getting anywhere close to the hill. A lot of damage being done. Chavii wants the 30 bomb. When's he going to be able to get it? That's going to be 1. Goes in for the 2nd. Chavii eventually will die, so he'll stop at 27. Still respectable, but the end result is the most important, right? The team gets the victory. Team Queso will lead 1-0 in the series, and in a way that is honestly a much more dominant than even I was expecting. Team Queso obviously the favorite on Regency, but not as much as I was expecting here. In this case, Chavii, hey, 27 kills, Toby. He definitely proved his worth.
Yeah, everyone else had around the 15 kill mark, and he was way out in front with 27. Fair play, Chavii, and he was playing so well, wasn't he? Super aggressive, super confident, clearly in his gameplay. The movement was on fire as always. The speed was there. So reaction shots at every opportunity off corners. It was lovely to see. Chavii is clearly having a good time actually in Team Queso. Perhaps he's answered our questions already, our concerns as to how well he performed on this new roster. Maybe you've nailed it, Taylor. Maybe this is his new home and maybe he will perform better here.
Well, he's able to get loose. I think that's the big thing. And he knows he has competent teammates around him. And that sounds really bad because he was on F&I. And I love that F&I roster. You know, I was always supporting them because I really wanted to see them get a victory. I felt they kind of, you know, sold themselves short, finishing off series so close to victory. It's so far away. But now Chavii, he feels, in my opinion, more confident to push up. He's being guided appropriately. And as good as Chavii did, right? Definitely the star player in map number 1. You know, you got to highlight Sleeafer. Sleeafer, again, was that guy. Every time Fire and Ice seemed to get an advantage, Sleeafer was there to take it away more often than not. And you got to appreciate that. Sleeafer's a veteran. Sleeafer has competed against the best of the best multiple times. He's a guy you can't take lightly. He's incredibly smart, too, on the battlefield. And I expect him to be a big vocal figure on this roster, much like Cristalize, okay? So you got Problems and you got Chavii. Problems is definitely wanting to be in Pro League. This is his opportunity to do so. The first time we had a chance to kind of watch him was during the Fall Major. Chavii obviously had one split during Pro League with Fire and Ice. He's now got more experience under him. He's got more confidence now. This roster, Team Queso, it's kind of a perfect storm, if you will, to be that next standout team to make a big impact for Team Queso as an organization and make a big impact in Pro League. And starting off this map 1 in the way that they did, hey, I've got good faith they could do so.
Yeah, I think you honestly could be right in that sense. Things could be changing relatively quickly for Team Queso here if they continue performing very well as they are in this matchup. They were super impressive on Regency. You know, they're the top-ranked challenger team, and they seem to be showing it. With Chavii coming in and pulling off performances like that, wow, it's no surprise the scoreline in the end was as distant as it was between the two teams. Going into checkout XE, right? We talked about it from early on. Team Queso were just dominating in the slaying department. It was not close. Team-wise, will that continue on these initials going into checkout? Will we see more 4v4 straight-up action as we saw in the previous match? Maybe. I would not be too confident in Fire and Ice, even on checkout now.
Really?
After what we saw in map number 1. I mean, simply because Chavii's just playing so well, and I'm scared because they've lost that factor in checkout. I'm not sure if they are going to continue being as strong on checkout as they once were. So that might have just tipped the balance for me, especially considering map 1.
Yeah, fair enough. And with the teamwork being as good as it was, it gives me cause to pause on training grounds. You know, it's not Vascar where you can kind of benefit by being more scrappy and engaging in those team fights, right? Training grounds is more of a setup-heavy map. And I think that's going to benefit Team Queso, where Fire and Ice was really never a strong escalation team to begin with. You know, no more often than not, they would lose escalation. And specifically, training grounds was not a good map for them. They would lose that consistently 5-0, 5-1. This is a must-win map. That's what I'm getting at, right? Checkout is a must-win map for Fire and Ice and Toby. Love what you said. Love the insight. You're right. Chavii being on Team Queso is a big hit to Fire and Ice, and that was made apparent on Regency. No longer can we say, well, Gnash is still there, right? Gnash is a talented player, and he is. Chavii is definitely more beneficial on Team Queso, I think, than he was on F&I. Big instance, though, from Sleeafer. Throws both out. Actually doesn't pick up any of them, though, believe it or not.
He needed it. He really did. They were a man down. They still are. They're trading out. No, they're not. Rapidz does stay alive thanks to a chain revive from his teammate. And now Cristalize trying to fight his way through the checkout. They are being pinched, though, from the other side. First round will go to Fire and Ice without losing a player, in fact. It was actually Chavii who was the first one to be taken out, Taylor, as he probably straight went through the middle as he used to. But getting shut down very quickly. And that's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Even in of itself. Hey, if they know exactly how Chavii plays because they had to practice the strat religiously and rely on him to really put them apart from their opposition, maybe they'll just read him like a book if he continues to try to do the same thing. Maybe Chavii actually has to play this differently compared to how he used to.
Fair enough. Yeah, getting first blooded like that, it definitely hurts. Chavii, who could very well be the tip of the spear here, needs to find his worth and find his value, and I think he just found it. A bit of an off angle, doubles back, though, with his teammates, and what looked to be a good opportunity for him now kind of falls a bit flat, but no worries. First blood still going to the way as Gnash falls a little bit short. Rapidz now forced to back up. Chavii on the hunt, still can't get it, but either way, the cavalry is starting to push through. The wolf pack is in, and there's nowhere for Fire and Ice to go. Wow. And that's going to be 2 quick rounds going to the way of Team Queso without losing anyone.
What an interesting round that was, wasn't it? Chavii was caught out. He's between a rock and a hard place in the middle checkout. He's like, oh, my team has completely lost the checkout side, and he got out. I thought he was going to get down there, Taylor, but no, instead, all 4 players were backed up against the wall, but despite that, they didn't lose a single player. I'm not sure what happened with Fire and Ice there. Perhaps they got a little bit too confident in their positioning once they got checkout control. Perhaps they should have just got the snipe and backed all the way off. But hey, that honestly was a huge advantage for Fire and Ice, and they just did not capitalize on it.
Sleefer's going to go ahead and get those incense once again. I don't think he's thrown them out just yet. Meanwhile, his teammates are... Oh, Gnash barely gets away, though. He's got has to be thanking his lucky stars. Fire and Ice, for the first time, not only has killed a couple of members of Team Queso, but also has the man advantage. Sleefer, no incense to his name, so it's all about muscling through this opportunity, and I don't know if it's going to be possible. It's going to be tough, but Cristalize by himself, 1v3, and Fire and Ice finally will get a point on the board, 2-1. Am I wrong? Where did I miss? I didn't realize they were tied 1-1. I'm dumb.
You're not dumb. You're not
no,
dumb,
absolutely dumb.
That is for sure.
No,
you're not dumb.
Gargantuan.
No, I disagree. I wholeheartedly
smooth
disagree.
brain, absolutely smooth brain. Where have I been this? Why am I so lost on this map? Did I go through a wormhole, a loophole, and then all of a sudden, like I'm in a different dimension and I'm looking at a different series? What did I do? Go on, Toby. I'm lost.
Listen, brother, all I know is Rapidz and Fire and Ice right now are flying across platforms in a huge change-up of strats. They're trying everything against Team Queso right now, but Team Queso, meanwhile, will win over on the checkout side. Sleeafer has got the snipe, a good player with that weapon, that's for sure. Now, question is, with... Oh, my goodness me, that was so close to the incense. They will be able to get the revive, Fire and Ice. Are they trying to close the gap on the snipe? They are looking to get it, but... No, they're not able to find it. Chavii still pressuring. Sleeafer not able to get the body check on that potential down on the exit. But power weapons used up on that side of the map. Everyone's starting to rotate across. Chavii, the first one to get to the nades. Sleeafer right now can just keep the heads down of Fire and Ice, right? Even if they hop on platform any moment, which they have to be careful of, that Sleeafer's just not aiming, waiting for them to climb up. Any moment, the Fire and Ice have to keep their heads down. They have to be careful because of that snipe, and then they just run in a straight line. Toxiq will get shot in the head instantly. 3v2, crosses from the side. Sleeafer with a second headshot. That is exactly how you play checkout if you have power weapon advantage on the map. Keeping your distance, don't get into shotgun battles. Keep away so you can use that snipe to your advantage. Sleeafer utilizing that amazingly. Fire and Ice, that was some push. Toxiq run a straight line there. I'm surprised that he didn't just try and get like a wall cancel or something there just to... Because it was just such a long sprint for me, Taylor. I'm not sure if you agree. Such a predictable sprint. Just at least pause for a second because Sleeafer is clearly going to be aiming the whole time.
And those little micro plays, right? They definitely make a difference. Yeah. Tied up 2-2. Toxiq this time. We'll back. Oh, Chavii, though, not shy about pushing up. Chavii will get 2 despite getting hit by an absolute apartment complex. He'll finally die off. It's a 1v1, and this could easily go to Fire and Ice. Problems will clutch up, and it will, in fact, go to the way of Team Queso. That was so chaotic. Chavii getting the 2-piece at the beginning was massive, but I gotta give credit to Fire and Ice for flipping the script, bringing it to a 1v1. I mean, talk about turning the map on its head. There it is, a 3v3, and it was just trades left and right non-stop. Chavii gets Rapidz Solar, eventually picks him up, and then problems in the 1v. You gotta replay that just to get an understanding because that was so chaotic and so quick, you might have missed out.
2 kills and a down for Chavii there. I mean, that's the way to set the pace of the game, that's for sure. Forcing, bouncing in the middle. This time we go to the open. Check out Fire and Ice again trying that to get away from those walls. 3v3. Great incend. Make that 2 from Sleeafer. Well played. 3v2 now all of a sudden. And a 2v1 on checkout, leaving Gnash to his own devices. He will get 1, but no more. Great round again from Team Queso, responding to F&I, who honestly, Taylor, keep changing up the strats. They keep going back and forth. They're very unpredictable right now, but Team Queso are responding so well. And Chavii, of course, in that last round, performing so well, is certainly putting a spanner in things.
Yeah, it's interesting that Fire and Ice is throwing out so many different strategies. Maybe still, maybe readjusting to Gnash being on the roster. You know, as well as Team Queso is kind of like, okay, this is your role, Chavii. This is what we do. This is how you're going to fit into, you know, kind of how we've been playing. Whereas for Fire and Ice, they're more so just kind of running, gunning it. You know, figure it out on the fly, figuring out as they go. Where Team Queso might be a little bit more established. 1v2, Cristalize down. Fire and Ice will respawn back and finally win around bringing it 4-3. Still, you know what? Team Queso's not out of the woods just yet. Fire and Ice can absolutely tie this thing up after this next round, bring it 4-4. Opportunity still there. Rapidz having a standout game with 8 kills and 3 assists, definitely leading the charge, which, again, good for him. Rapidz was oftentimes taking the back seat statistically because he was the guy playing those off angles, playing the roles into 1Vs. This time around, check out execution. He's the shining star. You love to see it.
You do. You absolutely do. And of course, Chavii, 3-5 currently, not apparently carrying, that's for sure, on checkouts. Perhaps he once did on his former roster at times. Toxiq coming through with a double down on Sleeafer. They're trying to chain revive the way through, but it's not happening. F&I still getting the kills through the middle. Chavii trying to help around the back, and he's actually done a really good job here. He's set up the pinch, keeping his distance. Cristalize will come back in. 2v2, they're fighting so well, but Cristalize just about getting down, unfortunately, for Team Queso. They were doing such a good job at managing that numbers disadvantage. Well played from them, but of course the round did not come through in the end. Fire and Ice had to respond to such adversity, and they did so well. They were once 2-1 up, Taylor, and now after 3 rounds in a row, Team Queso did really well, but now Fire and Ice turn it back their way. 4-piece, 2 rounds in a row. Looking good.
Yeah, looking great. Well done from Fire and Ice, and the opportunity to be on map point is here to win a map that, you know, I favored them on, and I said it. This is a must-win in my opinion. Fire and Ice has not been a good team on training grounds. I don't think it's going to change drastically with Gnash being there. I'm going to benefit Team Queso for Escalation. Fire and Ice loses this, they could be in trouble, and already First Blood is going to come out to the way of Team Queso. Fire and Ice fighting with just 3 more members. Make that 2. Solar by himself in checkout stands. He's going to be isolated and taken down in a flawless round, going to the way of Team Queso. They answer back after losing 2 straight around 7 and 8 to bring it 5-4. They're on map point.
And they answer back with a strategy of their own, right? Straight away, they're going to hop on to Plat again. Sleeafer, 10 kills to his name, is finding great value from those incense, from the utility that they provide. And it's really, really good to see that Team Queso now are the ones actually changing up the strategies in response to F&I. They're staying unpredictable because Fire and Ice are giving them a great game. This is a fantastic map of Checkout, you have to say, between these two teams. It's not as simple as a 4v4 over a Checkout. There's so much complexity to it.
The battle, though, Chavii drops. Instant thrown. That's 1. Can't get the second, but either way, Chavii's back into the fight, picking up a second. Third one is going to be Gnash, potentially. He's forced to retreat. He's dropped. Solar now. Last up. He's going down. Well, he went down swinging, but unfortunately, he went down, and that's the most important part. And Team Queso will ultimately win. Checkout, lead the series 2-0. And you got to say they are on the warpath to being a pro league team. And Sleeafer leading the charge, complimented his ability to shut down F&I when they got the momentum. He did exactly that here on checkout. He goes 12 kills, 6 assists, tons of damage going his way, and looking as impressive as ever. Team Queso leads 2-0, and they are 1 map away from being in the Pro League. Training Grounds Escalation coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to the second series played out today for Split 1 Relegation. It's between Fire and Ice and Team Queso. Team Queso taking a 2-0 lead. They win Regency 300-158, and then ultimately check out 6-4. Toby, it was looking good for Fire and Ice, right? They brought it 4-4, but then the final 2 rounds went to the way of Team Queso. It seems as if they were adjusting quite well.
Yeah. I think what was most scary for Fire and Ice is despite all their efforts with the strats, despite shaking up literally every round, Team Queso started doing it then, right? And they didn't have to rely on Chavii to just fly through the middle as he did in this round and completely dominate and take control of the result there. No, instead, they had everyone going off. Sleeafer, of course, was the one who finished with MVP in the end, and that was clear why. He was using the incense loads, but plenty of times Team Queso even played for snipe themselves, and they're doing really well getting control of that, making it very difficult for Fire and Ice each and every round that they fought for. And that's the scary thing for me in general about this Team Queso roster. They've gone from a map 1 where they were just winning by absolute brute force with slaying power to that map there. Well, yes, they were outslaying Fire and Ice, right? They were, admittedly, but their strats were there, right? They were unpredictable. They were responding to Fire and Ice and everything that they threw at them, and they were doing it in what seemed like quite a comfortable fashion, actually. And it took some quite a bit of clutching up, arguably, for Fire and Ice in some of the mid rounds to have as close a score as they did against Team Queso there on checkout. And I agree with you, Taylor, in that training grounds going into that. It was a bit of a must-win for Fire and Ice. It's their strongest map, checkout, wasn't it, historically? I mentioned it might no longer be the case now that Chavii's gone and shaking that whole dynamic up of aggression.
Right.
Going into training grounds, yeah, I'm definitely not as confident in my prediction now going into this one. I think Team Queso are just looking simply unstoppable right now.
Well, you said it best with Fire and Ice specifically on checkout. It took some gargantuan efforts from them. It took some massive clutch plays for them to win rounds. Where Team Queso, the rounds they won cleanly, they won smoothly and in dominant fashion. So Team Queso is seemingly winning rounds a lot easier than Fire and Ice, who's having to fight tooth and nail just to keep up to Team Queso, and that's just on a mechanical sense, right? When it comes down to strategically, when it comes to team orientation wise, I don't think there's a comparison. Team Queso is absolutely the better team, the more coordinated team, and they seem to be guiding the troops on the battlefield much more efficiently. Now, I was curious, would Rapidz be playing the 1v spot now that Gnash is on the roster? Well, the answer is no. Gnash is now going to be in the 1v spots, this time going against Sleeafer on the opposite end. But this could be a benefit because look at how clean Fire and Ice was on the Overlook fight. So maybe Rapidz is going to provide so much more benefit on the team fight, more so than he did on the 1v spot like he did in Split 1.
Yeah, this is a very interesting decision and probably one that makes a lot of sense. We'll perhaps get into it for a second as Problems tries to clutch up on the home hill, looking for the cleanup. Chavii does find it. Now, can they stay alive? A little bit of angles. Yes, they can. They do get the one. The other player has ran off. That's the player Chavii was looking for just there. That's Rapidz flying up towards the Overlook. Now, Gnash has regrouped off his respawn from down bottom. Rapidz trying to gain back some control, looking to see if he can make the play here, but no. TQ will find their way through. Solar in a 2v1. Chavii trying to close the gap. My goodness, is he dangerous as he runs up into Gib range there, but misses. Unfortunately for him, it should have been a simple 2v1. Unfortunately, Chavii will miss, and Solar is still alive.
Fire and Ice has to find a way. How do we take back control here? Well, it starts by winning Overlook and also getting through Sleeafer. Again, the guy who consistently shut down F&I on Regency control, and also the star-studded performer with 12 kills on checkout. Like that angle, though, from Chavii to help out Sleeafer down low. It's still not enough to help him ultimately, or at least save his life, but either way, at least pumps the brakes for F&I, who have taken control back. They have the point lead and the 2-1 in their favor, forcing Team Queso to react and push through Overlook, maybe going for home-to-home, that overextension in play. Sleeafer might tempt fate to challenge Rapidz, who is now in the 1v spot. So it seems Fire and Ice has a breathable defensive setup with Gnash playing the 1v spot, and obviously with, at times, Rapidz playing the 1v spot. I don't know how that's going to work out. Ultimately, you need consistency, I would say, but it seems to be working out as Rapidz does win his fight against Sleeafer.
Yeah, I think Fire and Ice are trying to keep it very basic and just kind of stick to the spawn times, right? Whoever's up first, just go X, Y, Z right on the fly at this moment in time. But I'm sure they'll keep it on the initials to Gnash. It would make a lot of sense. I think generally speaking, if you've got a new player and you've had a core 3 for a long time, maybe just grouping them up and leveraging that chemistry in those initials is probably your best bet.
Gnash, big fight, one down. Can he get the second? Well, he did have some help, but causing problems, taking him down. But either way, it's still not going to be enough for Team Queso. And Fire and Ice off to a fantastic start, a very dominant round one where they really never lost control, did they? And obviously, Team Queso struggled to kind of, get a grasp of that round. Sleeafer, being a guy who was in that 1v spot on B, had 2 1v players he had to challenge. The first one was Gnash. The second one was Rapidz, and he lost both of those fights, giving up the neutral, and that neutral never left the hands of Fire and Ice. So Team Queso, they're going to go ahead and change things up quite rapidly. Chavii looking to place a sniper, maybe even a drop shot in hell. Let's see if they do so. They want more of a pointed fight, which, fair enough to them. The long shot will be down. So going with a bit of a Noble strategy, right? Noble was the team that kind of started placing that sniper early on despite winning or losing. And it looks like Team Queso is going to follow suit. This isn't a bad play.
And it quite literally could be hell right now for Fire and Ice because Team Queso or Chavii has forced them to play against him in this arena of the room, essentially, and they have to really contest it if they want to get access to snipe, or they have to go for a retake. Retake right now is the goal, or simply just to rotate off, and it looks like the latter, in fact. Gnash has to be careful. He's going to get angled out. He can't continue bouncing forever. Chavii will get the down there, and now look for the rotation. Fire and Ice flanking all the way around, actually, from up top. That's the snipe gone. That's Chavii gone. That's the second player in Problems gone. And Fire and Ice will continue their offensive now. All over to the B hill. Well played, Solar leading the way. Triple cap on the cards. Can they hold out? 5 seconds to go. Cristalize looking to get there in time. 2 seconds. He will reach it, but do they have the spawns necessary. No, they do not. They do not have the second player there in time.
Okay.
2-0 on the cards. Well played.
Wow. Well played indeed. Fire and Ice going against the grain. I really thought Team Queso was going to be beneficial here, but Sleeafer's been dropping the ball in his position, but it's not obviously all up to him. Like Chavii couldn't get out with the snipe. There's just really nobody helping on that exit point for the sniper, and well, Fire and Ice is absolutely ready to go to counteract that. They've also got a retro here, which is going to be huge for helping get that sniper player out or stopping the sniper player if they get away, aka Chavii. Good job from F&I. This 2-0 lead is going to benefit them, and we've already seen 2 distinct looks from Team Queso and 2 looks that have failed them. So Fire and Ice absolutely in the driver's seat. Toxiq feeling confident, going in for the snipe. Chavii's there to, one of his teammates is there to help him out, and Toxiq gets away. Well done, Chavii. You're a bit too late.
Yeah, Fire and Ice again. They're changing up the strategies, aren't they? Just like on checkout, they go straight in for the snipe that time round and catches off Team Queso very quickly indeed. Chavii, I'm not even sure if they went in. Might not have been sure that they went in the end until it was too late. There we go. Toxiq rotating the snipe all the way across. Rapidz is going to be able to get B-hill control again. Pressures can Team Queso finally get some control up top. Gnash will win his 1v. Team Queso, problematic times right now on training grounds. What a headshot that was from Toxiq. A nice little Superman on Chavii there. I wasn't expecting that to come through, but here we are. Toxiq has the sniper at a very good location, in fact, right at the tower off spawn. It's going to be staring at that player over at the view.
Oh. He's waiting for Cristalize to swap weapons. He did, but unfortunately Toxiq couldn't hit that pixel he needed. Sleeafer takes down 1. Toxiq goes for a body to help out Gnash to get the finish, but ultimately won't connect. Cristalize playing onto B. That's going to force Rapidz and Toxiq up. You do see Chavii coming in a bit late in a 1v2. Actually, he ends up picking up Cristalize. I thought Cristalize was dead there. So 2v2, and it is going to be one, it seems, from Fire and Ice. Maybe Toxiq putting up a hell of a fight if he can. He's got to make this fight his. He's got to win it, but it looks as if maybe Team Queso is going to win this round in a way of a domination. But no, Gnash will keep the round alive just barely. Sleeafer takes him down, and the domination attempt still underway.
Still underway indeed. Rapidz is completely outgunned and outmanned here. He's not even going to attempt. He knows it's over. Timing is too much, but hey, what an effort that was from both teams, wasn't it? I'm surprised, actually, that Toxiq even died there, because he looked so on point with his shots, didn't he? They all started with that amazing Superman on Chavii, a body check as well to even set up a 2v2 over on the B hill, but no, unfortunately, the rest of the team players were falling to other players on the other side of the map. Team Queso finally can find their way here. Now, question is for Fire and Ice as we go into another round. Will they continue to change it up drastically, or will they try and go head-to-head with Chavii? I don't think Chavii is going to be passive this time around, Taylor. I think he'll make sure that if they do go for the snipe, he wants to be there having a shotgun battle with them, because he knows so far that Fire and Ice have been really good up top, right? Whether that's in the first round where they're head-to-head, or the rotate off snipe in the second round. That's the goal for Team Queso. They have to get this snipe.
Nope.
Not gonna get it, no.
Yeah. Well, maybe at least you could stop Toxiq. That's the best play at the moment. Sleeafer's kind of distracted on B, and yeah, Toxiq gets away for free once again. But to the credit of Team Queso, despite not getting the sniper, which obviously they placed, they do have the 2-to-1 hill advantage, and it's up to Fire and Ice to regain control, which is being made difficult because Sleeafer is finally showing up and showing out in his position over on the neutral. But good shots coming out from Rapidz to take him down, and that's going to give Fire and Ice the advantage. And now this is where things do get worrisome for Team Queso, because now you're down a hill, you got to retake control, plus you got Toxiq, who has the sniper. But hey, Gnasher's out. He's pushing up with Gnash to challenge that of Cristalize, and Sniper might not even get any value if they die off here.
Gnash, though, working well with his teammate. That's the snipe getting over to Overlook now for Toxiq. Still 3 shots left to use. And points-wise, Fire and Ice are actually okay. You know, they're actually really okay now. They've got map control. They've got the snipe. Sleeafer, I'm not sure why he's on the edge right there. It was very clear early on that Toxiq had got the snipe up top, and they had regained control there. Surprising. We caught out, looking for a second hit. Oh, Chavii has to be careful. 1 shot left for Toxiq now. You can see Team Queso hyper aware now that Toxiq is out of ammo at this point. Team Queso will try and retake map control. You have a little bit of time to do so, and meanwhile as well, Fire and Ice actually choosing to back off here.
And not a bad play for them. We've seen them in round 1 get a bit overzealous, try to go on for the domination. They just about lost that round because Team Queso did come back with a vengeance. But obviously for Fire and Ice, pumping the brakes here shows maturity and shows they are adapting and adjusting quite well. I like that. There's no reason for them to get overzealous and try and commit everything here. It opens you up to potentially making a mistake and then swinging the round back into Team Queso's favor. Bit of a fight down low. I think that was Cristalize just trying to get away, maybe even trying to lock in. Yeah, that's 4 down. So this round is over with. Fire and Ice has it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It all started with a double instant from Toxiq. Meanwhile, the rest of the players were getting kills elsewhere with Fire and Ice. They're pushing in. They've got the rest of the score. This is pretty much over. Fire and Ice are starting off really well on training grounds here. 3-1 scoreline is exactly what you need, and it's great. It's honestly great because they're still relying on that fact that they're winning by strategy oftentimes, or they're playing for strategy, Taylor. I know we set up storyline-wise that Fire and Ice honestly are more of a slay-heavy team, and it has been the case for forever, really. Fire and Ice have relied on their ability to slay, and that's why they were so good at Checkout, right? What more slay-heavy XE map is there than Checkout? But in this instance, because of Team Queso's amazing, rigorous slaying power, Fire and Ice have adapted. They've had to adapt, and they've been doing it very well, avoiding Chavii like the plague, you might argue, down bottom with that snipe, but still getting it a number of times.
Yeah, and I like that Fire and Ice is, that slaying power is something they've always prided themselves on. When they win the initial, like I said, they've not been getting overzealous. They've been setting up and kind of slaying out. And again, Chavii already being dropped there, and you mentioned, right, avoiding him, but also focusing him. They know Chavii is the X factor. They witnessed that with this 27 bomb on, Regency. Map number 1. So they're doing a great job taking him down and not allowing him to get onto the sniper. Team Queso places the sniper. Toxiq has had it every single time. But just like the last round, Team Queso, they do get the neutral, but this time around, it's a lot harder to break that defensive setup because Team Queso can stay here comfortably on E, and it's a lot harder to go home hill to home hill now. And the only person who's going to be able to do that is going to be Sleeafer. So at this point, if Sleeafer does decide to pop off and challenge Rapidz, well, Fire and Ice has no choice but to push through E with reckless abandon because they know they're going to be facing a domination.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Rapid's shoulders right now. He has to be super careful that Sleeafer doesn't try something. Toxiq is here with a snipe. Remember to still try and keep heads down. Body check comes in. Problems pushed in. What a huge kill that was on solo and gets away to find cover. Team Queso navigating around the snipe so well as it stands. 2v3 right now in front of them. Woo! That's the body check for Toxiq to open up a push, and he will be flying, I'm sure, looking for that kill. Sleeafer has pulled all the way back, meanwhile, on the D side of the hill. D side of the map, rather. And it's all because Team Queso have been doing so well over at E.
Do you think it's because Team Queso was doing so well at E, or did he pull back maybe just in case Fire and Ice did win that fight on E and then push through for the home hill? Because I feel like Sleeafer, if Team Queso was doing so well on the E fight, he would have been justified to stay there and keep the pressure up on the home hill, forcing Fire and Ice to react to that instead of sending, all their teammates over towards E.
I think it's simply the fact that Rapidz needed that 1v if the triple cap was going to come in for him, that he would chase down before he got pinched. And as a result, you see Sleeafer backing off enough so he can't die, but if the triple cap was attempted, he'll be close enough to be there for the pinch. That's what I think it is, just avoiding a 1v for him before that triple cap comes through.
All right, well,
of course, Team
out.
Queso in the end, winning by points, right, in the end, and of course, Sleeafer throughout that making sure that they have no exit route essentially out of the spawn. Sleeafer locking down that side of the map and ensuring that they just play full-on map control. And Sleeafer's far back enough that if they do try and play home hills, he's there ready for a Lancer setup, and he's not going to be in shotgun distance.
Sure. Well, impressive stuff from Team Queso because, Chavii was down first. Even though he got back up, Toxiq still got away with the sniper. And Team Queso, when they held E, I don't think during that entire round, round number 5, Fire and Ice was able to get their hands on E. I don't think they ever got a decap, if I'm not mistaken, despite them not having the sniper off the rip. So that shows that Team Queso can still keep their head in the game and hold on to the advantage and set up defensively, something they were doing such a great job on that first map map on Regency, and it's kind of the same thing here. Think about how scary they could be if they stop Toxiq from getting the sniper, which this is the first time I've seen so much Lancer fire and focus be placed on Toxiq. This is the first time Chavii has touched the sniper. Now, getting out is a different story, but he takes down one, second one around the corner. Does he challenge? Does he run away? He actually goes for the challenge. He's risking dropping here and losing the sniper, but to his credit, he's still alive. That was a risky play, but hey, high risk, high reward, and now they can swarm in on the F.
Looks dead to me.
Yeah, high risk. I was really concerned that Chavii committing to that, but it works out in the end. Solar has found one Chavii on his own. Meanwhile, he's not in a great location to run away either, and he's got sniper in his back. This is not a good location at all for him right now. He still has to fight his way through. Not going to be able to. That snipe lost, right? And for what? Right? Well, what have we gained? That triple cap opportunity, honestly, was never really on, bar them pulling off a miracle in the slaying department, those two. And so, yeah, I really do question that decision from the start of Chavii actually pushing past.
Well, Sleeafer could, I mean... Yeah, Sleeafer can, save him in this case and kind of bail out that mistake. Unfortunately, he ends up falling, putting a lot of pressure onto Cristalize and Problems. You know, to be fair, this could be a lot worse for Team Queso, Toby, but to their credit, they're kind of keeping a hold, a good grasp of the lead and a good grasp of the objective, despite making some glaring mistakes, in my opinion. Chavii being the biggest one, wasting that sniper, trying to commit everything to get up there and go for the way of domination, but it looks like Fire and Ice might be making a breakthrough. Chavii, though, is back with the vengeance. Good downs, takes down Toxiq, and can he get Gnash in this case? Well, he'll end up falling. Sleeafer will move through, and it's going to be a 1v. Meanwhile, Team Queso still with the lead, but no hills to their name.
Domination blinking for a moment. D-Hill is okay for now. The fight continues over there. Solar fighting against two, I believe. Gnash as well in a 2v1 of his own. Solar's just got a double over on the D-Hill. Wow, staggering. Sleeafer will fall over on the center hill. Chavii trying to save the day on the D-Hill. Solar winning there as well. And you can tell he's very happy with his performance there with the up and down joystick movement for a moment. Somehow, someway, Solar stays alive there and he gets the triple cap as a result. I have no clue how he did that.
Solar's that guy. He can make plays like that, Toby. You know, he's done that so consistently. He's, I mean, even now, right? 12k damage, 10 kills to his name, 13 assists. Doesn't have the most damage done, but definitely a high-impact player in clutch moments like that. He can make it happen, and he did that consistently in Pro League. But you got to go back, Toby, to that mistake, from that big push from Team Queso. You know, in a way justified, from the other players to push in and try and go for the domination. But there's no justification for Chavii, one, making the push onto, I believe it was Cristalize after he secures the snipe, and then ultimately trying to push that solo lane by himself with Sniper. That, I mean, things kind of fell apart from there, and that's where Team Queso made the mistake. If they pull back and they maintain that sniper, they don't fully commit for the domination, I firmly believe we're tied up here 3-3, but that's not the case at all because of those big mistakes off of the start.
I think Chavii just got into his zone a little bit too much there, right? His keep going forward kind of play style and mentality, and he perhaps forgot that he had the sniper in his back. He forgot that the triple cap opportunity wasn't really there. It's probably a mixed match of comms as well in that team camp, I would assume, also. So, great headshot from Toxiq there. This time you can see the difference maker, or the difference between the two, is Toxiq came all the way back with the snipe. Complete contrast how Chavii played that before. Swarm domination, meanwhile, blinking for a moment. Are they going to get on the hill? They looked away for a second. Jeez! Oh, they gave me a heart attack there. Toxiq and Gnash is like, oh, it's fine. No, we do need to break the hill. Okay, E-hill. Capped for Gnash now, but Chavii still looming over on the home hill. He will fall. Danger averted for now. F&I have map control. And Incend as well. Ooh, I'm going to connect.
Oh, wow, he doesn't even get dropped. That's super surprising. Plus, you bait out a sniper shot. Well, not the second one, though. Toxiq will connect onto Problems. Now you still got Cristalize and Sleeafer on the outside. Big flank, though, from Rapidz. Closing the gap. Absolutely taking the remaining members of Team Queso off guard. And look at that lead starting to dwindle away as Fire and Ice once again going for a domination, trying to finish this round off in the way they did in the last round. 5-2, maybe. They're inches away from victory. Chavii has to push in with Sleeafer. They've got a mountain to climb, a wall of F&I members they got to get through. Sleeafer, though, breaks through. Sleeafer breaks through. gets 2. This might be the chance for Team Queso to stay alive. Meat Shield in hand. Cristalize has to get the kill, but Toxiq holding his ground, and now it's up to player number 6 Problems to get a touch. He does, but the Meat Shield is still something he's got to deal with, and I can't believe it. Toxiq holding his ground. Solar now joining into the mix with the downs, and Fire and Ice, they've got the point lead. They still got the domination at hand, and it's going to be Cristalize who falls 1 inch short, and Fire and Ice will win. Escalation Training Grounds 5-2 to stay alive in this series and bring it back 2-1.
Breathe for a second, Toxiq, my friend. What on earth was that? 17 kills to 7 in the end. The amount of meat shields he got there was just insane, let alone just kills in general. That was really something from him. He was just an absolute titan on that last hill, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just completely just getting the kill after kill after kill. Yes, you have a little bit of an advantage when the player is rushing into the hill, but boy, he did not squander that, did he? And some amazing shots coming out from him there and his Gnasher. What a great round that was from Fire and Ice, right?
Oh, yeah.
They haven't really been going for a huge amount of triples, I want to say. Oftentimes they kind of preferencing their map control unless blatantly obviously you should go for a triple. But that time around, hey, they really went for it there in the end. After what was a scary moment earlier in the round where they almost got triple capped themselves.
Right. Team Queso had many opportunities where it looks like the sun was shining on them, but at the end of the day, Fire and Ice was ready to shut them down. And some glaring mistakes. I go back to Chavii pushing with the sniper. Definitely not meant to happen. I expected Team Queso to pump the brakes for Chavii making plays like that, because you can't do that. You can't make mistakes like that. And you can't, for sure, there was a great point brought up in chat. You can't give up the sniper. Let's say, how many rounds were played with the sniper? I want to say how many we had a total of 7 rounds, 6 rounds. 6 rounds played with the sniper, and all those rounds except 1, the sniper was given up to the way of Toxiq, right? Toxiq got away. And a great point was brought up, like, you can't do that with Noble. You can't give the sniper out of those 6 rounds 5 times to Exploits. Exploits going to take your head off every time, so the point is, when you're playing against teams like Noble and co, you can't afford to do that. So Team Queso, glaring issues on this map. They placed the sniper down, which will play right into the hands of Noble. And again, you give it up. So what was the game plan? Why didn't they try to change it up even more by placing an M-bar up top, right? Divvying up the play style of Fire and Ice. There was no attempt made to try and stop or try and discombobulate Fire and Ice outside of the sniper played in round 2. So I do believe this was a big blunder from Team Queso's part.
And that as well, Problem sitting on the staircase, getting headshotted right there so easily. I'm surprised that he sat there as long as he did. Sleeafer, by the way, shout out to him getting the double in this situation, but it was all Toxiq, wasn't it? He was the star of the show this entire time. Meat shield after meat shield, fighting his way through, and then Sleeafer come to the staircase as well. Even getting the headshot in the end there and Cristalize as well. Lovely stuff from Toxiq in that round. But yeah, truly so. That was a Fire and Ice map, wasn't it? They just played so well from the get-go. It was all about the strategy. And Team Queso, they had so many problems with that snipe down low. And remember, it was actually Chavii that placed that. And the way I was framing, at least on that round, is that Chavii just wanted to force the team fight away from up top that Fire and Ice were doing really well at, and force it into literally hell for Chavii to pinball around to shotgun them, right? But Fire and Ice were like, no, we're not going to fall into that trap. We're going to outstrat you. We're going to get the snipe when you least expect it. And we're not even going to play for it at times and get map control regardless and win that way. So honestly, Fire and Ice, well played, completely outplayed Team Queso on that one. And it was all down to strategy for the most part. Yes, some star plays as we saw in the replays in moments, but really it was Fire and Ice with a better game plan.
Yeah, better game plan indeed. Curious to see if it's going to be Gnash or Rapidz who plays the 1v spot, but they did have a breathable defense that ended up paying dividends for them, and Sleeafer definitely dropped the ball in that position, which is quite surprising how well he played on Checkout and Regency. We head into District, another control, and you would think this would benefit Team Queso with how well they played on Regency. Their teamwork was great. But Fire and Ice has traditionally been a wonderful team on District Control. Now that they have Gnash, we'll see if that benefits them for sure. But hey, normally after Escalation, especially when a team is down 2-0, we see more often than not that be the turning points. And with Fire and Ice getting a victory as they did in a dominant fashion, they absolutely have more win in themselves, and the momentum should favor them. We'll see though. This could easily go to Ephyra execution, and what could have been a series that I thought Team Queso was going to run away with might well go the distance for Fire and Ice.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, straight away, I when I think of District, I think of Fire and Ice's performance against E United in the major, where they were just so fast and so in your face. But again, it reminds me instantly that Chavii's no longer on this roster, and it kind of stylistically hurts Fire and Ice a little bit, I want to say, because Chavii's usually that icebreaker for the roster. Instead, he's going to be on Team Queso against them this time. But will District Light Checkout really cause some problems for Fire and Ice in that sense? I wonder. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe Team Queso will kind of adopt that kind of strategy of playing a bit more deathbally, a little bit more aggressive, as Chavii is doing right now. 2 kills to his name. Still looking for it, by the way. Looking for a third. The reaction shot not going to come through. Toxiq reads the reaction shot well.
Did you see Gnash shoot the drop shot, or did he die with it? Because I definitely didn't see it used. I think he died with it, unfortunately, which, you know, another cause to pause. You know, drop shots are incredibly useful. It's the only power weapon you have on this map, because obviously you don't have the instants anymore either with the instant kill potential. That was removed when Split 1 came into fruition. So the shock is great for what it is, but it's not as powerful. So the drop shot, you've got to get the value from it when you have it in your hands. And it's almost a sin to fight so hard for it, to win the 1v1 against problems, speaking in regards to Gnash, and then not use it. Hey, tough break for him. Don't want to see that happen again, but Team Queso off to one of the best starts you could possibly have, as Solar is still challenging for the remaining 5 seconds.
Oh, Gnash as well getting taken out there over on Next. And Team Queso already have a pretty damn good setup as well as it stands. Short spawn is there for Fire and Ice, but look at Sleeafer way back in the spawn already. Got the angle. Chavii's going to get caught out. Oh, it's exactly what you don't need. Perhaps Chavii a little bit too close there. Perhaps should have been secret manning on that window, if anything, right? Shouldn't be presenting himself as a potential play right in front of the enemy. I'm surprised. Cristalize getting the down though. Meanwhile, F&I finally get to the hill, and they will get control as well. What seemed like a pretty good setup for Team Queso. Quickly thwarted by Fire and Ice.
Chavii makes a heroic play. Nice job, though, catching Solar off that misroll. Chavii will stay alive. He's going to be able to join his teammates for the retake. I don't think Team Queso is going to be shy. No, not at all. Look at how quickly they push in, and Wolfpack and really back Gnash out of his spot alongside that of Toxiq, too, who really had nowhere to go. Toxiq picks up the shock, but he's about to get swarmed on as Gnash ended up falling. Chavii will pick up Toxiq. Chavii will also get the finish on Gnash. Rapidz will get the drop shot, but can Rapidz get away? Well, Solar needs to back him up. Rapidz down. This might be the second drop shot to go to waste, but it looks like Rapidz has finally got away, and what a better time to use it than right now, as Team Queso are going to be swarming in for the next hill.
Yeah, good effort from Team Queso to try and find that drop shot player. Instead, they use that forward momentum to start pointing it towards the hill. And they've done really well to get here, but they are outmanned. Fire and Ice have too many numbers here. Sleeafer going for the extreme push to try and find the 1v. Not going to happen. Fire and Ice again. They're going to have a setup this time round. And actually, no, not again. They're going to have the setup for the first time, actually, this whole game, it seems like. Team Queso finally will have to start making plays to break up the setup. And will it be through the spawn? That's the question. Rapidz is going to have that drop shot on the front door. Standard position. Fired a little bit prematurely, you might argue. I mean, we can see on the X-ray they are completely split up. You'd expect Solo would be communicating that he's getting pushed in nades, right?
Yeah, you would think so, right? At this point, Fire and Ice, though, they're coming back. Cristalize moving in. A couple of members to get through, and it looks like Cristalize will finally get the edge alongside that of Sleeafer to take down the remaining member. Gnash on the outside looking in. 40 seconds to fight for, and it looks like Team Queso will get richer and that much closer to entering into the Pro League. Guys, just a reminder, if you're joining us, this is a qualification match, and Team Queso is one map away from being a Pro League team.
There they are. Good shots from Cristalize, keeping his distance as far as he can, getting the shots, opening the door for problems to come flanking round. And now as you check the top left of the score, Team Queso getting quite a huge lead build up now. They're almost 100 points actually over Fire and Ice. Chavii running in through blue, will find the knife down. Great shots, even reaction shot in the down. This man is such a pleasure to watch as a player, so fast and skilled. Now, Team Queso again are looking to set up on the next hill. Toxiq looking for that 1v. Sleeafer will turn, get the call out from his teammate to get the shots on Rapidz, leaving Toxiq on his own over towards Cinema.
Said on his own, but still looking to hold his ground. Toxiq played very well in that last map on Training Grounds. Unfortunately, this time around, he will fall. Chavii with the drop shot. Active Vin, who's going to use it on? Well, he's got a couple of potential victims up ahead. It's going to be Rapidz as well as Solar, the only two members on the map. There's the active. I think he's about to use it on Solar. He's done this active like 5 times. He's tipping me. He's baiting me. He goes for the 2. Solar will take him out, but at least he got value from the drop.
Yeah. Got there in the end with the reloads. Solar will fall at bandstand. Team Queso still holding on to the points. And if they get this hill, Taylor, it would be huge. It would be such a huge lead, wouldn't it? With how Team Queso will be playing. Really setting themselves up for a pro league position. Gnash, great job finding the kill in the end against Chavii. Had no business finding that there. 20 seconds to go. They can start looking for the rotate, essentially. Rapidz will find problems. Cristalize, great job just leveraging the cover again. Not getting too close to Solar, but close enough to get the shot over the cover. And now everyone will start looking for the next hill. Team Queso, they've already rotated through the hill, through green, over to the hill, and causing so many problems for Fire and Ice already.
Well, that's a good start, though, as problems will end up dying off. And there's the second. So that 2v2 has been won from Fire and Ice as they do control it. Cristalize is going to have a difficult time against Rapidz, who is just doing everything he can to kind of bait and switch. Plus, you got to consider that Cristalize was getting lancered from the current hill, whether that be from Solar or Rapidz on the opposite side. Rapidz down, though. Team Queso finds an opportunity to push through, and that's going to put a ton of pressure on Gnash, who's kind of by himself. And then you also have Solars in the hill. 6 and 7, Rapidz and Toxiq just have to sprint across the map because Team Queso are a 4-man unit pushing in, and they have control. And now that goes from a 4v4 to a 2v4, forcing Toxiq and Rapidz out through the mid control. Fire and Ice now forced to go for the break. That was a hill they needed to hold.
Yeah, really needed to hold on to that one after such a great effort from Solar to fight through at the very start. They haven't been able to get the points they needed, and now Dropshot has actually gone to Rapidz. In fact, he's the one to get that one. Solar and Toxiq getting kills on the board, but Team Queso still holding out on this hill. All eyes will be for the next hill again now, Taylor, and you really do question how long can Fire and Ice keep this up. They need to change the pace of the game somehow, constantly responding to Team Queso's rotations instead of being first to set up instead.
35 to 85, things are getting scary for Fire and Ice. It looks as if they might be dropping down to the loser bracket shortly if they don't step things up. They do drop down. They'll be playing against Discipline. 35 to 86. Gnash outputting a ton of damage, but Team Queso continually pushing up, and you also have the linchpin, which could be Cristalized from the top side. And that's why you do see Toxiq and Rapidz doing everything they can to silence him. Good shock. That's going to give Team Queso some more valuable points. Gnash drops himself in the corner. He is relatively safe, though. Will get picked back up, keeping the hill contested, and Gnash is off with a vengeance, trying to get these kills. But it looks like the 2 inside Team Queso trying to go big, but Solar goes even bigger, doubles back. Chavii trying to get the flank, but his timing's just a little bit off, and Fire and Ice finds a way to take him down in the end. Oh, well, they have the hill. It's still not certain. Team Queso definitely threatened to get in there, and in fact, it's going to be a 2v1. Solar's the only guy, but he's holding his ground.
Yeah, they had short spawn and Team Queso weren't set up on the hill quick enough, and now it's just going to be a neutral fight for it, essentially. F&I, they have the numbers. Rapidz will find one. Chavii, great lancer, by the way, straight off spawn, knowing he's weak, and will lance him from essentially bandstand. Now, can they continue on? 2v3, height advantage arguably for Fire and Ice right now. They're stuck in the corner. They're going to go wide on problems. Great job, Fire and Ice. Finally into the game they go with 30 seconds left on this hill. Question is for Team Queso, hey, we have a bit of a score lead right now. Should we start rotating early on? Should we start looking for the drop shot? Looks like they're going to have to deal with Fire and Ice running through for it themselves. The trade out comes through. Drop shot is on the floor. Team Queso now coming off spawn to look for it. Is all guns blazing for this drop shot.
Oh, it's just to the left of Chavii, too. He gets blindsided. I got blindsided, too. Solar. And the drop shot's still on the ground. Problems. Picking up 3. But it's still not enough because he's traded. And it's just chaos. Sleeafer finds a way to just grub the drop shot and then ultimately get away. But that was such a chaotic set of circumstances. But Sleeafer relatively safe, but he knows his flank might be exposed here. He does have player 3 Chavii, who's trying to hold it down, but either way, Fire and Ice slowly but surely pushing up. Sleeafer now inside the hill. Drop shot out, but no one to use it on just yet. But now an opportunity will persist as Chavii has dropped. He knows F&I now has the top end. And Sleeafer could go big. This could be a two-piece depending on how F&I pushes, but he might just opt for one, and that's going to be Solar gone, Cristalize out of the way, and Sleeafer now, he's about to have his hands full, right? Him with Problems, but I like this angle from Problems. Gnash not feeling comfortable. Problems moving in. Sleeper's got to double back to get the pick up, but you got Rapidz who's also into the mix. You got a bit of a flank, though, coming out from Chavii. Chavii has no impact, though. Gnash forced to push through. 1v2 to his name. Finds an opportunity, takes down Proverb. Sleeafer will be able to get the trade, though. That's going to force Rapidz back. Rapidz now in a 1v2. Rapidz will fall, and it was chaotic. It was a scrappy fight, but Team Queso has the hill and enough points here to take the victory.
Yeah, they do. They've got about an 8-second window, a gap to work with as well if Fire and Ice break for a moment. So they really do have to make sure their push is successful. Do Fire and Ice. Here we go. Straight in. Oh, it's a misroll from Toxiq. Straight into Cristalize. And you need all the numbers you can get for the cinema push. And no, Gnash as well. Rolling the misroll straight into Sleeafer as well. You can't have that happen in these closing moments. 10 seconds to go. It looks all but over for Fire and Ice.
Definitely does. 300 is looming around the corner, and Problems will pick up 2. And ladies and gentlemen, Team Queso will win district control 300 to 115 and win this series 3-1. And they are your second team tonight behind that Ephyra one to qualify for Pro League. Team Queso, welcome back to Gears Pro League.
Congratulations to them. Sleeafer again, another match MVP to his name. In terms of the maps, we saw Checkout, of course, he was MVP. He was MVP now on District Control. And, you know, got to tip your hats off to Team Queso. They really dominated on Controlled in there. The first map was spectacular from them. Of course, Chavii was the storyline for that one. And then it was less so Chavii in Control District. It was more of a team effort, right? They were just dominating from the get-go, from hill to hill, causing so many problems for Fire and Ice. And all that is despite, of course, a very difficult training grounds where Fire and Ice really put on a clinic for that map. Team Queso, their heads did not go down once, did it?
No, it didn't. You know, it's really weird. The series played out in a way I expected it to play out, but also in a way I didn't expect it to play out. Escalation is where I thought Team Queso would not have an issue. That would be kind of their strongest map when they were up 2-0 heading into map 3. I definitely thought that was the end of the road for Fire and Ice, but it seems as if Team Queso's Escalation might struggle a bit. You think about the caliber in Pro League they're going to have to compete against, right? Noble, EU United, a great team there. Pittsburgh Knights, who are fantastic on training grounds. You know, really your top 6 teams in general who finished off in Pro League, and your top 6 teams that finished off in the Fall Major are great on training grounds. That could absolutely be a big weak point for Team Queso. So something to keep your eyes peeled for, especially if they continue to place that sniper down. It's not gonna bode well once they have to play against Noble with you know, Tody and Co and Exploits getting their hands on a snipe. But when it comes to respawns, though, and that's kind of where you make your money, right? Because you got 2 executions, you got 2 control. So, hey, if you let the escalation go, fair enough. As long as you're strong on respawns, you'll be just fine. But, hey, good job coming out from Team Queso as a whole. Control, execution, they've got it locked in place, and they looked really strong tonight. And Chavii, he played so incredibly well. You could definitely feel that he knows and he feels comfortable on Team Queso. He's got good guidance, and that's represented in the scoreline. Well done for Team Queso.
Yeah, so it's just to echo that sentiment, Chavii's clearly slotted in very nicely to Team Queso, right? You kind of assumed that would be the case, and you're absolutely correct. I think it's safe to say it's clear that they've been scrimming this week as well. I think Team Queso, they really looked like a solid team with plenty of experience under their belt, and just the nature of how they won as well. You know, Checkout was a difficult map. Fire and Ice, it's their favorite map, at least historically, when Chavii was on that roster, and they threw all the strats. They got the strat book out and they went through every single page and chapter to try and take down Team Queso. But no, Team Queso was responding in every single round, it seemed like. Very well played from Team Queso.
Well, Fury 1 Team Queso have in fact qualified for Pro League. Unfortunately for Outcast and Fire and Ice, their day did get a bit longer. They dropped down to the losers bracket, and they're going to have to compete against Discipline and Zero Tolerance. We'll get a chance to watch them for the first time today. Discipline, a team that beat Casa de Papel 3-2, so I'm putting a lot of weight into that victory. I know they're going to put up a wonderful fight against Fire and Ice. For Zero Tolerance, curious what they can bring to the table. They did lose to Team Queso 3-1, so going against Outcast might be a bit of a struggle or a bit of a sticking point for them, but they're going to have to fight nonetheless. This next series coming up, or the next 2 series coming up, are going to be, just a means to the end. It's not a qualification round, but it is a path to your qualification for Pro League. But this is the reality that we face ourselves in, Toby. Now, at this point, we most likely are not going to, well, for sure, either Outcast, Fire, and Ice, one of them is going to be going home. One of them will no longer be representing their organization when it comes to Pro League, right? Outcast, obviously not an organization, but the point is still, it would be really telling to not see Cells, Bronny, Lava, Yachty not in Pro League. That would be the biggest surprise, in my opinion, for this tournament.
I agree totally. We've already had 2 new teams, brand new teams in the Pro League, but now, of course, you see the 2 teams that both of them can't get through. Basically, they both can't get through. One of them can still get their spot if they play really, really well. That's for sure. Imagining a Pro League without the Outcast members would be actually quite shocking. In fact, but it was a very deserved win from Fury earlier, and it goes to show how the competition is shaping up. If Outcast and the players like Lava, like Bronny, can't keep up with that, then hey, you cannot make the argument that they don't deserve to be in Pro League. Question is, can they keep up the composure now? Can they get back to their old selves, if you will, and claw their way back?
Well, it starts with them playing Zero Tolerance. It's going to be Outcast and Zero Tolerance coming up next for our next series. It's going to be fantastic to see. And for Outcast, a lot of questions going their way after their loss to Fury 1, but will they step it up and end up being that pro caliber team? Well, they got a long road ahead of them, but they have to travel it. Let's see how well they're going to do. Outcast Zero Tolerance coming up next.